The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. Picture yourself stepping into the ancient world for just a moment. The air hangs heavy with exotic spices, and 1,000 merchants fill the streets with their passionate haggling. Towering walls stretch toward the heavens, while magnificent temples shimmer with gold in the sunlight. Welcome to Babylon, the wealthiest city that ever graced this earth, a place where unimaginable riches and crushing poverty existed side by side, separated by nothing more than knowledge. Now, let me introduce you to Bansir. He is a chariot builder with calloused hands and muscular arms, sculpted by years of dedicated craftsmanship. But right now, he's sitting on the low wall around his modest home, and his heart feels like a stone in his chest. He stares at his empty purse, then up at the king's magnificent palace gleaming in the distance, and one burning question tortures his mind. Why, in the richest city on earth, is my purse so desperately empty? Here's the thing that keeps him up at night. He's worked hard his entire life. He's been honest, skilled, and a model citizen. Yet financial success, the kind he sees everywhere around him, feels like it belongs to some other species of human being entirely. Does that feeling strike a chord with you? That quiet frustration of working hard, checking all the boxes, but still feeling like you're treading water while everyone else seems to be sailing past? Bansir's story, though it happened thousands of years ago, is your story. It's my story. And his quest for answers launches a journey that reveals the most profound yet simple financial secrets ever discovered. These secrets live in a remarkable little book written nearly a century ago by George S. Clason, called The Richest Man in Babylon. Here's what's fascinating. Clason wasn't some Wall Street wizard or financial guru. He was a mapmaker who, in 1926, started writing simple pamphlets, little parables set in ancient Babylon, designed to teach timeless principles of wealth. Banks and insurance companies began distributing them by the millions, and they became a quiet revolution. Why? Because these stories actually worked. This book isn't trying to sell you stock tips or dazzle you with complex economic theories. It's about the fundamental laws of money, laws that George Clason believed were as unchanging and universal as gravity itself. He argued that the exact same principles that made ancient Babylonians the richest people of their time can lead you to a full purse and a genuinely happy life today. So here's what I want you to do. Forget everything you think you know about finance for the next little while. Set aside all the confusing jargon and complicated strategies. We're going to time travel back to the dusty streets of Babylon and listen to the stories that have guided millions, from fresh graduates to seasoned investors, toward true financial prosperity. And I promise you this, by the end of our journey, you'll hold simple, powerful keys that can unlock the door to the wealth you desire. You'll understand not just how to acquire money, but how to keep it, and most importantly, how to make it work tirelessly for you. Ready? Let's begin. Our story opens with Bansir, the chariot builder, sitting on his wall, lost in troubled thoughts. His best friend Colby, a cheerful musician, finds him there, looking like a statue carved from stone. Colby, always optimistic, asks to borrow just 2 small shekels until after a feast that night, naturally assuming his hard-working craftsman friend must have a bulging purse. But Bansir's response lands like a stone in water. "If I had 2 shekels, he says heavily, I couldn't lend them to anyone, not even you, my best friend, because they would be my entire fortune." This revelation shocks Colby to his core. They're both skilled craftsmen, both work endless hours, and both live in the wealthiest city on earth. Travelers from distant lands say no city can match Babylon's splendor. Yet here they sit, 2 grown men with perpetually empty purses. They've earned plenty of money over the years, but it vanishes like water through their fingers. "Are we no more than dumb sheep?" Bansir asks, his voice suddenly filled with rebellion. "Why can't we have silver and gold, more than enough for food and robes?" It's one of those painful moments of crystal clear truth. They realize they've never actually sought wealth. They sought to master their crafts, and at that, they succeeded brilliantly. But they never sought the knowledge of how to build a fortune. And in that electric moment, a new idea sparks between them. They decide to seek out the one man who surely knows the secret, their old childhood friend, Arkad, who's now known as the richest man in all of Babylon. They gather other friends from their youth, men who've also struggled, and they march to Arkad's grand home. When they arrive, Arkad greets them with genuine warmth. They lay their problem before him. You, Arkad, are the richest man in Babylon while we scramble for mere existence. Yet once we were equals. We studied under the same master and played the same games. You worked no harder than we did. So why should some fickle fate shower you with every good thing in life while ignoring us, who are equally deserving? Arkad smiles kindly and shakes his head. It wasn't fate, he tells them gently. Fate is actually a vicious goddess who brings ruin to most people she touches. No, the real reason was much simpler. They had either failed to learn the laws governing wealth, or they simply didn't follow them. And that's when the first great lesson begins. Arkad shares his own story. He wasn't born into wealth, far from it. He was the son of a humble merchant, with zero hope of an inheritance. He started as a lowly scribe, working crushing hours, carving records onto clay tablets for a few miserable coppers a day. Month after agonizing month, he labored, yet his purse stayed as empty as theirs. But something burned inside him, a fierce determination to enjoy life's banquet, rather than just peer at it through the window. One day, a wealthy moneylender named Algamish ordered a particularly long and difficult carving, demanding it be finished in just 2 days. Arkad worked until his fingers bled, but when Algamish returned, the task wasn't complete. The moneylender was furious, but Arkad, seeing his one chance, made a bold proposition. Algamish, he said, his heart pounding, you're a very rich man. Tell me how I can also become rich, and I'll work through the entire night. When the sun rises, the tablets will be complete. Algamish smiled at the young man's audacity and agreed. Arkad carved all night, his back screaming in pain and his head throbbing, but he finished the job. True to his word, Algamish shared the secret. He looked the exhausted young scribe in the eye and said in a low, forceful tone, I found the road to wealth when I decided that a part of all I earned was mine to keep. And so will you. That was it. That was the secret. Arkad was genuinely confused. But all I earn is mine to keep, isn't it? He asked innocently. Far from it, Algamish replied with a knowing look. Don't you pay the garment maker? The sandal maker? Don't you pay for the things you eat? You pay everyone but yourself. You're laboring for others. Now, if you kept for yourself just 1/10 of all you earn, how much would you have in 10 years? Arkad, being good with numbers, calculated quickly. As much as I earn in 1 year. You speak but half the truth, Algamish corrected him sharply. Every gold piece you save is a slave that works for you. Every copper it earns is its child that can also earn for you. If you truly want to become wealthy, then what you save must earn, and its children must earn as well. This, my friends, is the first and most powerful law of wealth. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. Notice, it's not about how much you earn, but how much you actually keep. This is the principle we now call paying yourself first. Before you pay the grocer, the landlord, or anyone else, you absolutely must pay yourself first. And that portion should be no less than 1/10 of your income. Arkad decided to try it. Every time he was paid, he took 1 coin out of every 10 and hid it away, and something strange happened. He didn't seem to miss it at all. He managed perfectly fine on the remaining 9/10. But now, for the first time in his life, he had a growing treasure that belonged only to him. A year later, Algamish returned. Have you paid yourself at least 1/10 of all you earned? He demanded. Yes, master, I have, Arkad replied, his chest swelling with pride. And what have you done with it? This is where Arkad learned his next brutal lesson. He explained eagerly that he'd given his precious savings to a brickmaker who was traveling to a distant land to buy rare jewels. They planned to sell them at enormous profits and split the proceeds. Algamish roared with exasperation. "Every fool must learn," he growled. "Why would you trust the knowledge of a brickmaker about jewels? Would you ask the baker about the stars? Your savings are gone, young fool. You've yanked your wealth tree up by the roots. But plant another. And next time, if you want advice about jewels, go to someone who actually knows jewels, the jewel merchant." And so, painfully, Arkad learned the second law. Seek advice only from those who are competent, through their own proven experience, to give it. He'd lost his entire first year's savings, but he refused to give up. He started again, meticulously saving his 10th, coin by precious coin. Another year crawled by, and Algamish returned. He asked what progress had been made. Arkad explained that he'd entrusted his savings to a shield maker to buy bronze, and every 4 months the shield maker paid him rental, what we'd call interest today. "That's good," Algamish said approvingly. "And what do you do with this rental?" Arkad confessed sheepishly, "I have grand feasts with honey and fine wine. I also bought myself a beautiful new scarlet tunic." Algamish laughed heartily. "You're eating the children of your savings. How do you expect them to work for you? And how can they have children who will also work for you? First, build an army of golden slaves, and then you can enjoy many rich banquets without regret." And there it was. The third law: make your gold multiply. Let your savings be your army, and let the earnings from your savings produce their own children, who also labor for you. This is the magic of compound growth. 2 more years passed. When Algamish returned this time, he was an old man, his eyes drooping with age. He asked if Arkad had achieved the wealth he'd dreamed of. Arkad replied humbly, "Not all that I desire, but some I have, and it earns more, and its earnings earn even more." Arkad had finally learned his lessons thoroughly. He learned to live on less than he earned. He learned to seek advice only from true experts. And he learned to make his gold work tirelessly for him. Seeing this wisdom, Algamish made him a partner and, eventually, heir to his vast estate. But as Arkad told his friends, he was only fortunate in that he possessed the burning desire to prosper before he ever met Algamish. "Opportunity," he explained, "is a proud goddess who wastes no time whatsoever with those who are unprepared." Arkad's story lays the foundation for everything else in this remarkable book. It's the origin of the simple, powerful principles that King Sargon of Babylon later asked Arkad to teach throughout the kingdom. The king noticed something troubling. All the gold spent on magnificent canals and temples had somehow ended up in the hands of a few wealthy men, while the masses remained desperately poor. "Why shouldn't all the people learn how to accumulate gold?" the king demanded with frustration. And so Arkad began teaching his 7 cures for a lean purse to a class of 100 men, so they, in turn, could teach others throughout the land. These 7 cures are the practical, step-by-step application of everything he learned from Algamish. The first cure is exactly what we've just discovered. Start thy purse to fattening. For every 10 coins you place in your purse, take out for use only 9. Your purse will begin to fatten immediately, and its increasing weight will feel wonderfully satisfying. He uses a brilliant analogy. If you put 10 eggs into a basket each morning, but take out only 9 each evening, what will eventually happen? The basket will overflow with eggs. It's truly that simple. And he shares a fascinating observation. When he started saving his 10th, money seemed to flow to him more easily, as if wealth itself is somehow attracted to those who prepare a proper home for it. The second cure is to control thy expenditures. He explains a crucial truth about human nature that most people never grasp. What we call our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we actively protest. We must learn to distinguish clearly between our genuine needs and our casual desires. He advises making an honest budget, listing everything you want to spend money on, then boldly crossing out the things you can actually live without. Your budget isn't a form of slavery, it's your first and most powerful assistant in defending your growing treasure. The third cure is to make thy gold multiply. Gold sitting in a purse feels satisfying to hold, but it earns absolutely nothing. The coins we save are merely the starting point. The earnings they generate will build our fortunes. Arkad beautifully describes his saved coins as a, quote, hoard of golden slaves, each one laboring tirelessly and earning more gold. And as they labor, their children also labor, and their children's children, until eventually a golden stream of wealth flows constantly into your purse, whether you're working or traveling. This is the genuine power of investing in compound growth. The fourth cure is to guard thy treasures from loss. Arkad warns solemnly that the first sound principle of any investment is absolute security for your principal. It's foolish beyond measure to be seduced by promises of large returns if it means your principal might vanish. He references again his tragic first investment with the brickmaker and those worthless gems. The lesson rings crystal clear. Study carefully before you part with your treasure. Consult with wise people who are genuinely experienced in the profitable handling of gold. A small but safe return is infinitely more desirable than great risk. The fifth cure is to make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. Arkad strongly recommends that every person should strive to own their own home. Owning your home plants deep confidence in your heart and dramatically reduces your cost of living, freeing up more of your earnings for other investments and life's pleasures. Instead of pouring rent into a landlord's purse year after endless year, your payments build real value in a property that belongs to you. The sixth cure is to ensure a future income. Life marches inevitably from childhood to old age, and a time will surely come when you can no longer earn as you once did. Therefore, you absolutely must make preparation for your future days and for your family, should you no longer be with them. This means planning investments that will endure for many years, creating a dependable treasure for your old age. And finally, the seventh cure is to increase thy ability to earn. Before any accomplishment must come burning desire. Your desires must be strong and specific. A vague wish to be rich is utterly useless, but a concrete desire for 5 pieces of gold is a tangible goal you can actively pursue. And once you master how to get 5, you can learn to get 10, and then 100, and then 1,000. You increase your ability to earn by becoming genuinely wiser and more skillful in your craft. The more wisdom we possess, the more we can earn. These 7 cures, Arkad patiently explains, are the straightforward steps that can take any person from a lean purse to a wonderfully fat one. But knowing them is one thing. Actually doing them is something else entirely. This is where the book introduces us to other powerful stories that explore the human element, the mindset absolutely required to follow these rules. One of the most moving is the tale of Debasir, the camel trader. Before he became a successful merchant, Debasir was a young man in Babylon who fell deep into the suffocating pit of debt. He spent far more than he earned, indulging recklessly in luxuries he couldn't possibly afford. Humiliated and constantly pursued by angry creditors, he did what seemed easiest at the time. He ran away, abandoning his wife and his beloved city. His life spiraled downward until he was captured by desert robbers and sold as a slave in Syria. His life as a slave felt utterly hopeless, until one day, one of his master's wives, a wise woman named Sira, challenged him with words that cut to his soul. "How can you call yourself a free man," she asked pointedly, "when your own weakness has brought you to this miserable state? If a man has within himself the soul of a slave, will he not inevitably become one, no matter what his birth?" She told him that his debts were his true enemies, and he had run from them instead of facing them like a man with honor. Her words haunted him relentlessly. Later, she helped him escape into the merciless desert. After days of desperate travel, his food and water completely gone, he collapsed on the burning sand, ready to die. Lying there, with his mind clearer than it had ever been, he asked himself the most important question of his life: "Do I have the soul of a slave or the soul of a free man?" He realized with stunning clarity that if he had the soul of a slave, he would simply lie there and die. But if he truly had the soul of a free man, he would somehow force his way back to Babylon, face every single man he owed, and repay every copper of his debt. In that singular moment of decision, his entire world transformed. He no longer saw himself as a victim of circumstances, but as a man with purpose and honor. He found the strength to rise, and within him surged the powerful soul of a free man. This story teaches us something profound. Our outer world mirrors our inner world with astonishing accuracy. True wealth begins with genuine self-respect, and self-respect flows from taking complete responsibility for our actions. Dabasir realized that the men he owed weren't his enemies at all. They were friends who had trusted him. His real enemies were his own weaknesses and his crippling habit of running away. His new battle cry became, "Where the determination exists, the way will be found." When Dabasir finally made it back to Babylon, he didn't hide in shame. He went directly to every creditor and laid out a clear plan. This plan comes to us through a set of ancient clay tablets, supposedly discovered by a modern archaeologist. On these tablets, Dabasir recorded his new financial life. His plan was both simple and brilliant. Of all he earned, 1/10 was his to keep forever. This was sacred money for his future prosperity. 7/10 was for living, to provide honorably for his home, food, and clothes for himself and his wife. And 2/10 was to be divided fairly among his creditors each month. Month after difficult month, he followed this plan religiously. Sometimes he earned a lot, sometimes heartbreakingly little, but he never deviated from his system. He paid himself first, lived carefully on his portion, and steadily chipped away at his debts. His creditors, even the angriest ones, witnessed his iron determination and gradually came to respect him deeply. In time, he paid off every single debt. His purse jingled with gold and silver that was completely his own, and he had transformed into a man of genuine honor and means. Dabasir's story gives us a concrete, actionable blueprint for escaping debt while simultaneously building lasting wealth. The book overflows with other parables that reinforce these core truths from different angles. We meet Rodan, a humble spearmaker who suddenly receives a surprise prize of 50 pieces of gold from the king himself. Almost immediately, everyone he knows, including his own sister, has an urgent idea for how he should use this windfall. He wisely seeks the advice of Mathan, the experienced gold lender, who teaches him about the hidden dangers of lending money carelessly. Mathan opens his Khotan chest, filled with mementos from loans both successful and disastrous, and tells their fascinating stories. The moral lands clearly. Protect your treasure with careful thought. Better a little healthy caution than crushing regret. We're also told about the legendary walls of Babylon, which stood strong for centuries as a powerful symbol of protection. The book uses this as a vivid metaphor for our own need for financial security. Today, our walls aren't made of brick and mortar, but of smart insurance, healthy savings accounts, and dependable investments. We simply cannot afford to leave ourselves exposed. The final story in the book brings all these lessons together in a deeply moving way. It's the tale of Sharunada, a wealthy merchant prince, traveling with a young man named Hadan Gula, who happens to be the grandson of his old, deceased business partner. Hadan Gula is insufferably arrogant and lazy. He believes work is beneath him, fit only for slaves, and that if he had money, he'd spend his days in comfortable leisure and luxury. Sharunada decides to teach him the shocking truth about his supposedly noble grandfather. He reveals a secret that stuns the young man. Both he and Hadan Gula's revered grandfather had started their lives as actual slaves in Babylon. He tells the gripping story of how they were chained together, marching toward a life of crushing labor building the massive city walls. But they were saved by one simple but revolutionary idea, championed by a fellow slave, a farmer named Megiddo. Megiddo told them with quiet conviction, "Work is the best friend I've ever known." He explained that some men hate work and foolishly make it their enemy. It's far better to treat it like a trusted friend, to genuinely like it, and to do it well. Work done well, he said, does profound good to the man who does it. It makes him a better man in every way. Charunata took this wisdom deeply to heart. He resolved to be an outstanding worker for his new master, a baker. He didn't just learn the trade. He came up with an ingenious plan to bake extra honey cakes and sell them enthusiastically on the streets in the afternoons. His remarkable enterprise and genuine willingness to work hard impressed everyone, including a young rug merchant who bought cakes from him every single day. That rug merchant was none other than Hadan Gula's grandfather, Arkad Gula. Inspired completely by Charunata's incredible spirit, Arkad Gula, who was also a slave working in partnership with his master, found the courage to buy his own freedom and eventually become a legendary merchant. Work became his golden key to success. It attracted loyal friends, brought him deep honor, and ultimately built his impressive fortune. Hearing this revelation, Hadan Gula is transformed from the inside out. He realizes with shame that his grandfather's success wasn't due to some magic secret for attracting gold, but to his sterling character, his unwavering determination, and his willingness to embrace work as a genuine friend. In the end, the humbled young man pulls the jewels from his ears and the rings from his fingers and takes his place at the back of the caravan, ready to start his own life the right way. And so, the ancient wisdom of Babylon comes full circle. It's not about luck or fate. It's not about being born into the right family. It's about understanding a few simple, powerful truths. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. Control your spending. Make your money multiply. Guard your treasure from loss. And embrace work as your greatest ally. These are the secrets that built the fabulous wealth of Babylon, and they're the exact same secrets that can build yours today. As we step away from the ancient world of Babylon and back into our modern lives, it's almost shocking to realize how little has fundamentally changed. We may not use clay tablets or silver shekels, but the human struggles with money, debt, and the yearning for a secure future are absolutely identical. That, I genuinely believe, is the enduring genius of George S. Clason's The Richest Man in Babylon. He stripped away all the unnecessary complexity and gave us the bedrock principles of financial well-being, beautifully wrapped in stories that speak straight to the heart. What's the most powerful lesson from this book? For me, it has always been that first, deceptively simple declaration from Algamish the moneylender. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. It's a genuinely revolutionary idea, even in our supposedly sophisticated modern world. Most people think of saving as whatever pitiful amount is left over after all the bills are paid. But Clason teaches us to completely flip that script. You pay yourself first, before anyone else. That 10% isn't just another expense. It's a sacred investment in your freedom. It's the tiny seed from which your magnificent tree of wealth will grow. Taking that first step, setting aside that first portion, fundamentally changes your identity. You're no longer just a consumer or a spender. You become a saver, an investor, a deliberate builder of wealth. The second profound lesson is the idea of taking absolute, unflinching responsibility, as powerfully embodied in the story of Dabasir, the camel trader. It's so tempting and easy to blame our circumstances, bad luck, a tough economy, a difficult childhood, whatever. But Dabasir, at his absolute lowest point, a starving slave crawling through the desert, realized that the source of his problems and the source of his salvation were one and the same: himself. He consciously chose to possess the soul of a free man, and that single decision became the turning point of his entire life. The book teaches us that financial success is inextricably linked to personal character. Honoring your debts, living with integrity, and having the iron determination to see a plan through. These are the unshakable foundations upon which any real fortune is built. And finally, there's the beautiful reframing of work itself. In a world that constantly glorifies passive income and escaping the supposedly soul-crushing 9-to-5 grind, this book gently reminds us of the genuine dignity and transformative power of good, honest labor. Work isn't a curse to be cleverly avoided or a burden to escape. It's actually our best friend. It's the powerful engine that creates the income we can then strategically use to build our wealth. It's the solid platform from which we can become more skillful, more valuable, and ultimately earn significantly more. Sharunada and Aradgula didn't become fabulously successful by avoiding work. They became successful by wholeheartedly embracing it. So, how can you take these ancient, time-tested lessons and apply them to your actual life right now, today? Here are 3 simple, practical actions you can take immediately. First, follow the first cure starting tomorrow. Take just 5 minutes in the morning and open a brand new savings account. Name it something that genuinely inspires you, like My Freedom Fund or My Wealth Tree. Then, set up an automatic transfer from your main account for exactly 10% of every single paycheck you receive. Automate it completely, so you don't even have to think about it or make a decision each time. This one small action is hands down the most important step you can possibly take on your journey to financial independence. Second, create your own personal clay tablet. Grab a piece of paper or open a fresh document on your computer and be brutally honest with yourself. If you have debts, list them all out clearly, exactly as Dabasir did. Then, create your own version of his ingenious plan. How much can you realistically live on? How much can you dedicate each month to systematically paying down your debts? The simple act of writing it down, of creating a clear and definite plan on paper, is incredibly powerful. It takes you instantly from a hazy place of worry and uncertainty to a solid place of control and determination. Third, begin today to increase your ability to earn. Ask yourself honestly, what's one specific skill I could learn or meaningfully improve that would make me noticeably more valuable in my job or my field? Maybe it's taking a course, reading a particular book, or finding a mentor. Dedicate just 30 minutes a day to deliberately cultivating that skill. Remember, your earning capacity is genuinely your greatest financial asset. Investing intelligently in yourself will pay the highest dividends over time. That's the timeless essence of Babylonian wisdom. It's not complicated or mysterious. It's not particularly glamorous or exciting. But it is profoundly true, and it genuinely works. We've explored the key highlights of the richest man in Babylon today, and I sincerely hope these ancient stories have sparked something meaningful in you. But let me be completely honest. A summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. You can see the major landmarks and understand the basic layout, but it's nothing compared to actually walking those trails yourself, feeling the ground beneath your feet. The real magic of this book happens when you read it personally, when one of Arkad's simple phrases or Dabasir's struggles resonates with your own life in a way you didn't expect. This podcast exists to help you decide if a book is genuinely worth your precious time. If anything we've discussed today has struck a chord with you, I strongly encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning facts. It's an experience that can genuinely change the way you see your money, your work, and your future. There's a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this journey into ancient wisdom valuable, please take just a moment to like this summary and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next deep dive into another potentially life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep learning together, and let's keep growing into the people we're meant to become.